Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. You know the drill. We're back at it again with the r/entitledpeople Reddit stories. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Karen complains to HR about my body. I Uno reverse her complaint, and now everyone hates her. Disclaimer, this was about 7 years ago, so the conversations are summarized and not 100% word for word. I used to work in a call center where everyone had little cubicles. You could chat with people on either side or behind you if things got slow, but anyone on the other side of the divider was sort of hard to see or chat with. Only important because Karen was in this hard to see location from me. I have issues with overheating, medical stuff. I liked to sit right under the AC vent. Nobody fought me for this because it was a little too cold for most people. Well, being a woman, this meant that sometimes I had some nipple pokey issues on some days. It's perfectly natural, and to most people, not noticeable because it was under my shirt and bra. Karen notices this though and makes a report to HR. HR woman and my direct supervisor parade me through the cubicles and into their office to question me about my nipples. Now, I could have thrown a fit about this to begin with, since we didn't actually have a dress code, and it's none of their damn business. They asked me to prove I was wearing a bra, so I showed them the straps. They told me, good enough, basically, and to go back to my desk. I refused to go back. I said I needed to place a complaint about someone. They asked me who I was reporting. I said, I don't know, but you do. I want to report whoever it was that's been staring at my breasts all day. Now that I know someone is staring, I feel like this is a hostile work environment. They acted like I was joking at first, until I said, if you don't have a talk with them, I will go over your heads and report you for forcing me to reveal my bra to you. I got escorted back to my desk, and Karen was sitting there looking smug until they escorted her to the HR office instead. I don't know what happened in the office, and I didn't care. They did their part by having their talk with her. All I really wanted was to know who did it. Since it was a very slow day, all my coworkers started asking me, what was that all about? Office gossip, you know. I told everyone exactly what had happened, and added that Karen must be fascinated with my breasts since she noticed. Everyone else confirmed that they didn't even notice. When she came back from HR, every person in the room knew what she had done, and was glaring at her. Snitches didn't get stitches, and didn't get fired either, but they got treated like the Karen they were. Nobody would talk to her. People would be chatting, see her come try to join the conversation, and go silent and turn away from her. Some people did loud whispers and made comments like, shh, don't say anything, she'll report you. She quit about 2 weeks later. Edit. For those saying I should sue, this was about 7 years ago. The company no longer exists. I didn't sue them back then because the company was pretty new, and they were new to their positions just like the rest of us, and in their 20s. They seemed like they were not trained on how to handle this, and were awkward and confused. I didn't want to ruin their lives over it, and I don't think they'd ever do it again. For those saying she was jealous, I have no idea what she could have been jealous of. I was almost 40, gaining weight fast from my disability, and I'd say a 4 out of 10. All I can think of is maybe she was jealous I was giggling with coworkers while trying to quietly play Cards Against Humanity. I'm sorry. They forced her to show them her underwear? Management forced OP to show them her underwear. Great googly moogly. Honestly, the Karen aside, the most flabbergasting part of this story is that they clearly did not think that through, and are so lucky that OP is a civil person because someone that's sue happy could have totally destroyed that company. And the fact that the company no longer exists is kind of hilarious, actually, and speaks volumes. Total Wine would not sell me the specific wine I drove 60 miles to that location for because they claim I was with someone else who left and they needed to see ID for that person. I was alone, so I made a mobile order of 10K and never picked it up. I got mad all over again writing this because of the sheer amount of disrespect from Total Wine management. I have the receipt for this order too. There's a specific wine I used to pair with food, and the closest Total Wine that had it was a 60-mile drive, and it was storming out, and I wanted it for the holidays because most likely was going to be cooped up inside. So I drive over, and this used to be my typical Total Wine until I moved 2 counties away. Anyways, I go in and pick up the wine and get some other stuff for holiday parties, and was in there maybe an hour. It comes time to check out, and the cashier asks me for my ID. So I give it to her, and then she tells me that she needs to see the ID of the other person I was with. So now I'm confused and say, I'm alone? And she says, well, I have to go get my manager. Okay, fine. So he comes out to tell me that she told him I was with someone and they need to come back and bring their ID, or they won't sell it to me. I told him I wasn't with anyone. He asks to see my ID, looks at it, and says, well, unfortunately, you look young. At this point, I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, you can come back tomorrow, alone. I find it extremely disrespectful to tell someone they look young while you're holding their ID in your hand. And not to mention, I've been shopping at that exact location for about 4 years and have never had a problem. So I told him about how I drove there and I've been shopping there for years and that I even have a second form of ID. And he was just kind of giggling and saying no. So I left very angry, and it was late, around 9 p.m. and I still had the hour-and-a-half drive back home in the rainstorm. So I was home pissed about it all night, and the next day I went in to the Total Wine close to my house. Unfortunately, that one was out of the wine, and that's why I didn't originally go there. They were pleasant as usual, actually beyond nice, and didn't even ID me, which just goes to show the other location was on some kind of power trip or something. Then I got an email from them to review my experience, which they send every time I go there, and I never do it. But I decided to select the location I had the bad experience at and give them feedback on it. So I wrote exactly what happened, and then the next day I got a call from the store manager. Turns out the guy that night was an assistant manager or something. However, he was much more pleasant than the woman that called me. She was extremely rude and condescending and told me that she reviewed the cameras and that someone did walk in with me at the same time, and that made us a party. I told her I didn't know them. She said it didn't matter. So apparently people can't walk into Total Wine at the same time as you? Then she said that employees were watching me and that the person left 30 minutes before I went to check out and they saw it. Okay, so? Also, if that is the case and that is your policy, why didn't you say something when you saw the person leave? And we could have cleared up the whole situation right then and there, instead of continuing to allow me to shop for another 30 minutes and waste my time just to know that when I come to check out, you were going to deny it. So I told her that even if that is the case, someone can't leave a store. She said, no, to complete the transaction, they would have to drive back with their ID. This made me extremely angry, because even if that is the case and that is your policy, at least you can offer an apology for the inconvenience or something like that, not just call me to argue and stir the pot. I was already kind of over it because it had been like 2 days, but just her whole attitude and nastiness about the whole thing was really insult to injury. So I decided to look up their policy, and their policy clearly states that this only applies to parties at checkout. And that makes sense, or is at least more understandable. Another policy I read which was interesting was that any online order not picked up within a week, they will issue a full refund to your original payment method. So my friends and I were sitting at home, drinking the stuff I got at the other location later that day, and telling them what happened, and they were all shocked. I used to work retail for a long time, and I know what an inconvenience it is to set big curbside pickup orders because they take up a lot of space on the order shelf. So drunk and mad, I decided to enforce their own policy on them and make a $10,000 order for the soonest possible pickup time, which they promise orders ready in 3 hours. So I made sure to order the cheapest, heaviest bottles I could think of so it can take up the most amount of space in their curbside, and made sure to only order like 1 or 2 of each so they couldn't just give me a case. and I ordered their whole supply of Tito's since it's popular and it's the holidays and I know people are going to be looking for it. And this Total Wine has its curbside order section in the front behind a counter where you can see it. And I know when customers saw it, they would ask for it. And then they would have to explain how someone ordered all 238 bottles and they were back there on reserve. Then they'd probably get grouchy and ask for a manager, but the manager would be busy because I made sure to order a lot of bottles behind glass, so they would have to run around with their keys, scrambling to get this order ready. So I loaded up the cart and stopped when I got bored and placed the order. I got the email confirmation, which specified that you have to wait for the pickup confirmation email, and that pickup times aren't guaranteed. So I thought for sure they were either going to cancel the order or call me or something. Well, 5 hours later, I got the pickup email. It took them longer, but I was still surprised. Then later, I got a pickup reminder email. Then 3 days later, a second reminder. Then 7 days, I got my final notice email. Day 10, I got a phone call. It was the manager acting like a completely different person this time, asking when I was coming for the order. At this point, I think she knew I was fucking with them because it had been 10 days, and she knew my name from the previous feedback thing because when she called, she asked for me by my name, and my name was on the order. So I told her, yeah, when I went to pick it up, I was told I looked too young. So I just went to the other Total Wine and picked up the same stuff there. So then she was mad and said, "Are you seriously not coming to pick this up? Lol, restock." I just said, nah. When your higher up asked you why your store had a refund of $10,000, explain to them what you did. They were supposed to automatically cancel the order at the 7-day mark, but she didn't. She called me on day 10, so I called their customer service line to cancel it, and she told me some of the stores wait till the end of the month to do it. I'm assuming the manager was trying to hold out on refunding to the end of the year on a better number. Retail does that. I made them cancel it right then. Firstly, love this OP. Secondly, I went down the rabbit hole of comments on this post, and man, we don't have Total Wine where I live. As far as I know, because I've never heard of it, but it seems like Total Wine is on some sort of next level of terrible customer service. The entire comment thread is just people sharing their bad experiences with Total Wine. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself like, dang, Canadians must be a bunch of quote-unquote alcohol enthusiasts, because the leniency in regards to liquor here seems concerning after reading these Total Wine comments. And then I came across this. Meanwhile, I went to Canada for my 19th birthday, and the night before my birthday, we went out to eat. My friends were all older than me, so they got beer. I had to be the DD. The waitress asked if I wanted any, and I said, no, I don't turn 19 until tomorrow. And she just said, that's close enough. You sure? Haha. As a Canadian, the first time I went to buy beer from the beer store, I wasn't ID'd, and it was my 19th birthday, so I was looking forward to the novelty of being ID'd. It took until my 3rd or 4th time to be ID'd. Meanwhile, in Canada, yep, that sounds about right. Actually, the province where I live, you only need to be 18. I mean, what else are you gonna do in a place that's freezing cold for 8 months out of the year? Really? Oh, Canada. But anyway, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed these 2 entitled people petty revenge stories. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!